On Saturday, Jesus lay in a tomb, and many believe that he was fighting the forces of darkness for our freedom.
But on Sunday, the tomb exploded with light and Jesus walked right out of that grave.
Welcome to Day 8, Easter Sunday morning.
We are sitting in front of a 2,000-year-old tomb somewhere just outside the walls of the old city of Jerusalem.
It's really quite remarkable, and it's hidden here in this public park. The tour buses haven't come here, and nobody is really claiming that this is the spot where Jesus was buried, but we've chosen to be here this morning because it's quiet. You know, when I come here and I touch the thickness of the stone that was rolled in front of that tomb, I have a new appreciation for what took place that Sunday morning.
Yeah, and it's recorded for us in Mark chapter 16. First 4 verses say this: Saturday evening, when the Sabbath ended, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome went out and purchased burial spices so that they could anoint Jesus' body. Very early on Sunday morning, just as sunrise came, they went to the tomb. On the way there, they were asking each other, "Who's going to roll away the stone for us from the entrance of the tomb?" But as they arrived, they looked up and saw that the stone, which was very large, had already been rolled aside.
You know, reading that from a 21st century perspective, we just think, hooray, the stone was rolled away. Hooray, Jesus is risen. He's risen indeed. But there was so much more going on here that morning.
You know, in that text we just read, it said that they purchased the spices Saturday night and they came to the tomb Sunday morning. They were fully intent on finding a dead body to prepare. This was not a morning of celebration. This was a morning of intense and deep grief.
Think about it. Put yourself in the shoes of these women. You know what it's like if you've lost somebody that you've loved. You have such heartbreak, you feel like your heart is literally gonna break in two. You can't even get through an hour without crying. You are feeling such intense pain and grief. Sometimes you feel incredible anger that your loved one was taken from you. There was nothing happy about this morning.
Yeah, so when they got here and they saw that this massive, impossible to roll away stone was moved, they weren't like, hooray, Jesus is risen from the dead. They were like, who stole the body and where is our beloved Jesus?
In John chapter 2, we read that Mary went to find Simon Peter, and this is what she says: "They have taken the Lord's body out of the tomb, and we don't know where they have put him."
Human experiences consistently confirm that death is final and irreversible. Nothing changes after death. It is the complete, irrevocable, final end to a person.
Once a human being has been marked by death, there is nothing more to be said. There's nothing more to be planned for. There's nothing more to be hoped for or dreamed for.
But the eerie sound of stone on stone scraping as that rock was rolled away from the tomb on that Easter Sunday morning indicated that human experience was about to be changed forever.
The power of death was dealt a crushing blow, and we can learn from that if Jesus conquered the power of death, he can change and touch and resurrect anything.
You know, but the followers of Christ that came here and saw that empty tomb, they were more bewildered and confused than inspired.
It says in Mark chapter 16, when they entered the tomb, they saw a young man clothed in a white robe sitting on the right side. The women were shocked, but the angel said, "Don't be alarmed. You are looking for Jesus of Nazareth who was crucified. He isn't here. He is risen from the dead." The women fled from the tomb trembling and bewildered, and they said nothing to anyone because they were too frightened.
You know, 2,000 years later, we celebrate the rolling away of the stone. We celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. But do we fully appreciate what that means for our lives today?
It means that God has done what is humanly impossible. He reversed the irreversibility of death.
It means that death is no longer the final mark on our lives, but he took what was so final and turned it into only the beginning.
So after death, there is so much more to be said. There is so much more to be planned for. There is so much more to hope for and dream for.
What he did when he walked out of this tomb was to take the human experience and stretch the timeline from 50, 60, 70, 90, 100 years.
To 670,000, 100 million years of adventure. It says in Isaiah chapter 43, "From eternity to eternity, I am God. No one can snatch anyone out of my hand. No one can undo what I've done.
This eternal life, it is only made possible and accessible by what Jesus did as he walked out of this grave 2,000 years ago.
And it's not enough to know it in your head or believe it in your heart. In Romans 6, it says that it's a gift. It's a free gift to be received. And so if you have never received this free gift of eternal life, it's really quite simple. It's just a matter of a prayer saying, Jesus, I want to follow you. Please forgive me of my sin. Today I receive your free gift of salvation, your gift of eternal life.
But for those of you who have already accepted Christ, let me remind you of what else this empty tomb represents. Power. Power. It's amazing. There is no enemy. There is no condition. There is no problem. There is no difficulty. There's no sickness. There's no illness. There's no broken relationship that is bigger and more powerful than Jesus.
Jesus defeated death. And if he defeated death, he can handle anything that you might be facing. It says in 1 Peter chapter 5, so humble yourself under God's strong hand, and in his own good time, he will lift you up. You can throw the whole weight of your anxieties upon him, for you are his personal concern. It's almost like we can pick up the full weight of our anxieties and throw them on this empty tomb, reminding those anxieties and those issues who is boss and who is bigger and stronger than any of them.
Yeah, there is so much more going on here in front of the empty tomb than just a reason for Easter.
At the empty tomb, we have a reason for all of eternity, and we have a reason for every day.